Hi everyone, and welcome to our presentation today. This is Lunch with the Expert. We are going to continue doing Lunch with the Expert. This is our first Lunch with the Expert for special learning. And if you want to know more about Lunch with the Expert, and stay tuned, there's going to be a link in our chat box. You can check that out. And also we'll have a link on our website that you can subscribe to our newsletter. It lets you know any updates, any upcoming trainings that you might be interested in. And today I'm really excited to tell you and give you a brief introduction to applied behavior analysis, and I hope that you can take away some helpful information. This is going to be a casual presentation, so if you guys have any questions, please feel free to type them in our chat box. I'll be sure to leave some time at the end of the presentation so you guys can feel free to ask questions. My name is Amanda Fishley. I am a board-certified behavior analyst. I've been practicing in the field of ABA for over 10 years now. I've had the opportunity to work with small kids that are just beginning their services in ABA, clear with adolescents and adults that are learning vocational skills and transitioning into the community. I've had the chance to work in school settings, center-based settings, and in home settings. I'm currently the Associate Director of Clinical Solutions at Special Learning and ready to kick off our Lunch with the Expert. So our objectives today, I'm going to let you know a little bit more about who we are at Special Learning and then some helpful products that we provide that I think that you will find beneficial. We're also going to define and discuss applied behavior analysis, which I'll be referring to as ABA. We'll be naming some professionals in the field, as well as talking about some common applications of ABA. A little bit about Special Learning. So Special Learning is an online company striving to meet the needs of individuals with autism and other developmental disabilities across the globe. So I'm really excited that we have an international audience, because that's what we're striving to do, is bridge the gap between individual or families, educators, and professionals that might not otherwise have access to experts in the field, giving them training as well as consulting. So it's really our mission to really disseminate ABA and make it very accessible to people across the globe, such as yourselves. We have the opportunity to work with a variety of people, so parents, educators, behavior analysts, paraprofessionals, speech therapists, even occupational therapists. So because we work with a vast variety of people, we offer various products. So we offer different trainings in ABA, ABA level 1, 2, and 3. We offer a library of ABA trainings, and these vary. They cover things from food refusal to preference assessments to teaching methodologies within ABA. We offer RBT training as well as virtual consulting. And right now, Special Learning is actually offering a free consultation with the behavior analyst. You can get more information on our website, which I have listed here, special-learning.com. And there's also a lot of other products on our website, many that are free that you can download. There's videos and lots of other tools such as visual schedules that you can check out. Okay, so let's talk about what is applied behavior analysis. What is ABA? And here is our technical definition, which I'm going to break down for you. It's a science devoted to the understanding and improvement of human behavior. So the key here is it's a science. And I want to talk about how ABA takes a scientific approach to discovering variables that are in the environment that influence behavior, as well as how we target socially significant behavior and use evidence-based practices to change behaviors. So let's look at this a little closer. So ABA as a scientific approach. It's important that you know ABA is a science. That way you're not thinking that this is just my opinion, another behavior analyst's opinion. It's really rooted in research, and it's a science that is constantly evolving. We really take a systematic approach to understanding and improving human behavior. And if you know anything about ABA, some of the language can be a little technical, and also some of the interventions can seem kind of difficult to implement at times. So that's why the science is constantly evolving. We're trying to make interventions more effective and more efficient to be implemented by parents or even other non-ABA professionals, and that's really our goal. we are striving to continue to discover and clarify those relationships between behavior and the controlling variables in the environment in order to further contribute to the development of humane and effective technology. So what ABA looks like now is very different than what it looked like even several years ago. It's constantly improving, and there's constantly research and literature that supports that. So in ABA, we target behaviors that are socially significant. And what I mean by that is we are targeting behaviors that will have a very positive and meaningful impact for that individual and or their significant others. That might be their parents, their teachers, their peers, even their employers. So the behaviors that we're changing are going to be long-standing. And we don't just change behavior to change behavior for fun. We really want these to have a very positive impact, and that's very, very important to our science. So we call these socially significant behaviors. And I've listed here a variety of categories that we teach. We use ABA to teach within these categories, and these are academic. So ABA can be used to teach various academic behaviors: reading, writing, math, spelling. Just about any academic behavior can be taught using ABA principles and methodologies. Daily living skills, this is a really common one and one of my personal favorites. ABA tends to take tasks and break them into smaller steps, and those steps are meant to be broken down so the student can learn them more efficiently, have access to reinforcement, which I'll go into in a minute. And these tasks can be hand washing, brushing your teeth, and I think that you would agree that those are very socially significant behaviors for your child to learn. We also use ABA to teach social and language skills. So social and language deficits are pretty prevalent among the autism community, and it's really important that we teach these skills. So teaching a student to say hello, goodbye, and even more complex social skills is going to be very meaningful. In addition to language, so many of our students have significant language deficits, meaning they can't say hello, they can't ask for basic wants and needs. So it's really, really meaningful and obviously very socially significant that we teach language skills. And this can be from very simple things like asking for a favorite toy to more complex and sentence building. ABA can be used to teach vocational skills. As I mentioned, I've had the opportunity to work with adolescents, so the skills I teach them I think are going to be very positive and meaningful to their everyday environment, as well as recreational skills. And then if you can list some behavior changes within these categories that you feel are socially significant that ABA might target, that will help you to understand and participate. You can either write it on a piece of paper, feel free to put it in our chat box. And then ABA as an evidence-based practice. And the reason you keep hearing me say that is it's important to know that when you're working with professionals in the field that what they're recommending is based in research. It's evidence-based. And that empirical evidence from rigorous research studies have demonstrated the efficacy of ABA. And hopefully that's more reassuring. I think if you, as a parent myself, I want to make sure that professionals are making evidence-based recommendations to my child. And these evidence-based practices should always be used as a decision-making tool for professionals in the field. And the board-certified behavior analysts, and I'm going to talk about some professionals next, they are actually obligated to recommend scientifically supported treatments. And that's something that is brought about from our governing board. So let me give you a brief overview about some professionals in the field. That way, if you hear these brought up or these referenced, you kind of have an idea of who they are. BCBA stands for Board Certified Behavior Analyst, and I'm going to go through the role here next. BCABA stands for Board Certified Assistant Behavior Analyst. BCBAD is BCBA at the doctoral level. And then there's RBT, which stands for Registered Behavior Technician. But all of these individuals, all of these professionals are implementing ABA to various degrees. And here's a quick overview of what that might look like. So typically at the BCBAD level, these professionals are, at minimal, they have their PhD in Applied Behavior Analysis. They might be doing research. They might be heading up a whole program, starting a company. might be doing program development, so various things. There's also BCBA, and at minimal they have their master's degree. Typically these people are developing the programming. They're serving as consultants maybe in your home, maybe with your child at school. They sometimes are implementing the programming as well. They'll probably be supervising the implementation of those programs. And then there's also the BCABA, and at minimal they have a bachelor's degree. And they do very similar roles to the BCBA. They will be doing assessments, program development, probably oversee a caseload, and may also be implementing ABA with your child. And then there's the RBT. So this is the direct care staff, the registered behavior technician. These are the people that are going to be working with your child directly in the home or directly at school. And they don't practice independently. They are supervised, typically from a BCBA. So they're implementing the programming. They might be assisting their supervisors with assessments, curriculum-based assessments, or functional behavior assessments, but they're the ones doing the direct care. Okay, so to understand ABA's approach to changing behavior, I feel it's really important that you understand how we define behavior. And this is the technical definition. It's the activity of living organisms. Human behavior includes everything people do. So let me break this down. So when you hear professionals talking about behavior, the behavior must be observable and measurable. And the reason I find it so important to talk to parents about this is that way we're talking the same language, that when I'm talking about behavior, you know exactly what I mean. So here's an example, writing on a worksheet. That's a behavior that I can observe, I can measure. And then another example is saying please. I can observe someone saying please, and I can measure that. So those are two examples of behavior. And if you have another example and you have a question, please feel free to type that in our chat box. I'd be happy to answer those. And then some non-examples. So a non-example of behavior, tired. Well, I don't discount that the state of feeling tired exists, and if you're a parent, you might experience it more often than others, but we can't measure that. We can't observe someone being tired. We can measure some things that indicate that someone's tired, such as laying their head down, closing their eyes for 10 seconds, maybe yawning. Those are things that I can observe, and I can record those. Let's talk about another non-example, and that's anxious. So I frequently work with parents that says, you know, my son has a lot of anxiety. Can you really help me to reduce his anxiety? And again, we definitely don't discount that those are real, that people experience anxiety. It's that we're going to be framing that in a way that's measurable. So if when someone's feeling anxious, maybe they're scratching, skin picking, or any other behavior, we want to make sure we can record, observe, and measure those behaviors. So that's why it's important for you to understand how we're defining behavior. And in behavior analysis, the professionals are looking very closely at the before and the after of a behavior. So those are being carefully analyzed, and that's what's going to help us to guide interventions. We call those the antecedents and the consequences, and they're part of a 3-term contingency, which is essentially a whole other training. But just know that we're carefully looking at the before and after of a behavior. Another really important principle within applied behavior analysis is reinforcement, and you might have heard this term before. Frequently, you'll hear reward or motivator being used in its place. Reinforcement is the addition or removal of something in the environment which increases the future occurrences of behavior. So you can probably imagine, if we're teaching skills, how important that is. By adding or removing something, we see something increase. So let's run through some examples. These are some examples of positive reinforcement. In the social category, praise. So when you are observing someone working with your child, or pop in and watch them at school, you're going to hear a lot of praise, or at least you should be. So good job brushing your teeth. That is a very descriptive praise statement, and the more descriptive you can be, the better. So if someone comes up to you and says, hey, good job, you might not know exactly what they're saying good job for. But if they say, hey, good job brushing your teeth, you know exactly what they said good job for, and that behavior is likely to increase in the future when they're more descriptive. And then high five. So it's important that as therapists, you're pairing and bonding, or even parents too. You're pairing yourself as the giver of good. So giving high fives and praise can be paired together. And then there's edible reinforcement. So this includes a variety of things. Some example, M&Ms, raisins. Some parents are not very thrilled about this type of positive reinforcement, and that's okay. There's, like I mentioned, there's plenty of other options as reinforcement. Edibles tend to be highly motivating for kids and can be delivered really quickly. So that's typically why they're used. But we do have an ethics code where we have to make sure we're not delivering too many edibles. We're making sure that we're always looking out for the well-being of the child. So if you have any concerns about that, that's fine. Just know that they're used and they can be pretty effective. And then there's also tangible reinforcers. So this includes stickers. Very commonly used in classrooms are stamps. The student may, or your child may want to work for small toys. Those are really common tangible items. And then there's also activities. So swings, watching a video clip maybe on YouTube, or spending some time on a game system. Those are some rewards that I know children like to work for. So hey, you finished all your homework, you get to go on the swings for 10 minutes. What we do in applied behavior analysis is we're always striving to transfer contrived reinforcement to more natural contingencies of reinforcement. And that's really important to us. So we don't want someone to be dependent forever on having to get a sticker or an edible. So we're always working to fade that out. And we actually have a whole system of schedules of reinforcement, and it's done systematically. So it's really important that you know that. So if you can think of an example of a reward or motivator that your child would be interested, go ahead and put it in our chat box and share with everyone. A common question I get asked from parents is, what does ABA look like? And it's a challenging question to answer because ABA can take many forms. Teaching can take place in a home setting, a school, or even in a community. And it looks very different. It's also the student may be or your child may be working one-on-one, but they also may be working in a classroom setting or in a small group setting or even a one-on-two. So the reason I feel like that's important for you to know is often people feel that ABA has to be one-on-one. If your child's not getting one-on-one, then they're not getting ABA, which is a misconception of what we do. And it's important to really point that out. I worked with a family, and the child was doing really well. He was with 4 other students and a teacher, and the mom brought a concern to me. She said, he's just not getting ABA. I feel like he needs ABA. But her concern was that he wasn't getting one-on-one. And I think it's important to know that it's not a one-size-fits-all. So while your child may need one-on-one initially or for a long period of time, doesn't mean that's what they need forever. Also, they might not need one-on-one. They might thrive in a classroom setting or where there's other peers and students. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. It looks very different for each individual I've ever worked with. It's really important to know. And what ABA looks like for your child at age 3 is going to look very different than what ABA is doing for your child at age 15. Another important thing to know is ABA is data-driven. And the reason it's important to know is that you may be asked to collect some data if you're doing some stuff in the home, but also you're going to see people coming in and they might be collecting data on a clipboard, and everything is guided by data. So whether we continue an intervention, fade something out, it's guided by data. It's not our opinions, it's not subjective, it's all data driven, and it's really important, and that's the root of our science. All right, so again, what does ABA look like? I mentioned it can look very different, right? So there's various teaching procedures that are used within applied behavior analysis, and I'm just gonna briefly list off a couple. We very commonly do discrete trial training, DTT, and again, a lot of people think that ABA is just DTT or DTT is ABA. It is one teaching procedure used within ABA, but there are plenty more that are effective, including fluency-based instruction, also natural environment training, pivotal response training, and verbal behavior. So these are all very beneficial techniques. And I've included a link down here we have a training that goes over these teaching procedures and what they look like in application. So if you want more information about these teaching procedures, please feel free to check that out. And within these common techniques that are used within these procedures include prompting, shaping, chaining, and programming for generalization. So let's talk about some common applications. So I've talked to you about how ABA can be used to teach new skills. So we utilize the principles of reinforcement and those various teaching methodologies that I just quickly reviewed, and then new skills can be acquired. So that's a really big area of what we do. Sort of piggybacking on that is the generalization and maintenance of those skills that we're teaching. So I want to make sure that the skills that I'm teaching your child will generalize. And what I mean by that is your child will be able to perform these skills in different environments, with different people, different situations than the ones I taught him in. So if I'm teaching your child to say hello, I want to make sure that they can say hello to you, maybe their teacher, maybe another family member, not just to me as their therapist. So it's important that that skill generalizes. It should also maintain. So once I fade the intervention out, I want to make sure that your child can still do the intervention. So let's use, or do the skill. So let's use that example of saying hello. Maybe I taught your child to say hello using a video model. And once I fade out that video model, it's really important that your child can still say hello even when I don't have that video model. And that behavior maintains. So that's what that means by generalization and maintenance of skills. And those two things are very, very important. And professionals that are working in your home or in school should be programming this into their everyday teaching. And there's various strategies that can be done. And then another area that ABA does and does really well is the reduction of problem behavior. So just briefly, problem behavior is any behavior that's impeding learning, obviously impacting safety. These include things like hitting, kicking, maybe repetitive behaviors, screaming, flopping to the ground, refusal to move. Those are behaviors that we call problem behaviors or challenging behaviors. And I think that we would agree we would want to reduce those behaviors or eliminate those behaviors. So that's what applied behavior analysis does, and it does it really well. And to do this, we rely on a functional behavior assessment, which is an FBA, or maybe even a functional analysis. And what these procedures and assessments do, they look at why the behavior is occurring. And once we know the why, we can develop our treatment plans and our behavior intervention plans around the why. But it can take some time and some observations for us to discover why the behavior is occurring and what are the maintaining variables in the environment. But once we know those, it guides our treatment to create strategies that will create preventative consequence strategies, and then also teach your child some replacement behavior. So anytime we want to take away a behavior, it's really important to us that we replace it with something that's functional. So as you may know, there's a growing demand for ABA. The industry is having a difficult time meeting this need. And that's really what drives us at Special Learning, is to make sure that individuals and parents and professionals and educators that might not otherwise have access to our services can now get them, and that's through our online company. So in the US, there's greater availability of ABA via insurance mandates. It's leading to more credentialing requirements, which is always a good thing when people have to be credentialed. It only best serves our field and our clients that we're working with. And as you may know, there are millions of people without access to ABA intervention. And again, that is really what drives Special Learning, to make sure that we can help bridge that gap. So our field desperately needs solutions to serve the underserved and populations and communities, and that's can be done through technology-based platforms and systems, and that will help us meet the global need and demand, as well as making standardized and easy to implement curriculum. And this again has to be curriculum that can be implemented by a parent and other non-ABA professionals. And that way it can be used as a tool to reach a greater audience across the globe. I've listed some resources here that I want to go over with you. Special Learning offers a free ebook. It's called the ABCs of Autism. So if you log onto our website, you'll be able to download a copy of that. We also have articles that are free to look at, and they're very helpful. They contain a lot of knowledge, and again, they're free. They range from diagnosis to funding to home treatment, some tips for parents. So there's a lot of helpful things that I think you guys will benefit from. There's also Special Learning's frequently asked questions. So that's good for you to hear. What are other parents asking? What are providers asking? And there's a very long list there that you can read and also gives the answer. So it's a very good tool. And as I mentioned earlier when we got started, Special Learning is offering a free consultation with the BCBA, which you learned that stands for Board Certified Behavior Analyst. And you can troubleshoot ideas, talk about things that you want to work on with your child, and just have a really good consultation with the behavior analyst and professional in the field. And if you have questions about something specific, you can ask them at that time. And if you log onto our website, you'll be able to see there's a link right there. It says free consult with the BCBA, and you should take advantage of that soon because I'm not sure how long that's going to last. Also, the video of this presentation will be posted on our Special Learning YouTube channel, and there will be a link in our chat box if you want more information about that. There's also other helpful information and videos on our YouTube channel and other social media outlets. We offer updates on our social media pretty frequently, so check those out too if you're interested in ongoing training. And if you have any questions, please let's feel free to type in our chat box now.
Okay, Amanda, we do have one question here. Somebody is asking, how long should someone be receiving ABA services?
That's a really good question. It really depends. So my best answer to how long someone should receive ABA services depends on how long they're going to need it. So if ABA and interventions are effective, then you should continue receiving them. If the professional or the person you're working with feel that those services can be faded out, maybe from 30 hours a week to 20 to 10, then just 5, and then just ongoing maintenance, that is what I would recommend. All right. Also, if you should have questions, there is an email address here that you can contact. You can ask any questions. If you have questions about the presentation, about ABA as a field, any procedures, you can feel free to contact us there at contact@special-learning.com. And there's our website if you want to check out additional training. So thank you very much for your time. And if there's no further questions, does anyone have any questions they want to ask? All right. Thank you all very much.